Hey, fourth graders, Mr. Crowell coming to you from the backyard, and we are doing lesson 7 today for ELA. This is Anatomy of a Volcanic Eruption. We are still going through this book, and we will be on page 36, which is chapter 5. So if you can grab your books, throat. If you can grab your book and go to chapter 5, page 36, that would be great. And of course, today we're going to be talking more about volcanoes. We've got some vocabulary words that we're going to be looking for. And so I want you to be following. I want you to be thinking. I want you to be learning. And I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you following along. So please track and read with me as I read the book. I've got off to the side over here, I've got the book, so you can use your book or read off the screen. Either way, we want you to know volcanoes. So today, lesson 7, let's go to the board. We've got lesson 7, book vocabulary. Today we're going to see 3 words. These words are going to be residents, survivors, refuge. And then we've have some assignments, which we'll go over at the end. So I am excited to get going. And if you would turn to, please, chapter 5, page 36, we are going to talk about infamous eruptions. You guys ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? Let's go. Infamous eruptions, chapter 5, page 36. Everybody with me? Let's go. Vesuvius, Italy, August 24th through 25th, AD 79. Valinian eruption of VEI 6. That's a pretty good one. In southern Italy, in the year AD 79, August 24th began just like any other day. By noon, however, the ground began shaking violently. An enormous black cloud rose high in the sky over Mount Vesuvius. 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Earthquakes are felt in Oplontis, Tazingo, and Pompeii cities south of Vesuvius. That was a mouthful. Sorry if I mispronounced them. I did the best I could. A heavy downfall of tephra begins to descend from the sky. A cloud of ash blocks out sunlight. People in Herculaneum see the eruption cloud rise above the volcano. Residents rush for shelter. So let's stop right there. One of our vocabulary words is residents. You say, Mr. Crowell, what is a resident? I'm going to say it is somebody who lives somewhere. A resident is somebody who lives somewhere. They live in a house, and they live there for quite a while. They're not just kind of moving around, but they kind of say, you know what, I'm living, I'm staying. They're a resident of a city or a town, and they just stay there, and that's where they live. That's where their house is. That's where their family is. So the people on that particular place back in time, there were people there living in places, and so when this Mount Vesuvius erupted, there are residents around it, and we're going to see about, and of course they're rushing for shelter. So that is the middle of page 36. Now let's go down to 3 p.m. Sunset. Frightened residents, there's our word again, frantically flee their cities. They try to get as far away from Vesuvius as they can. Okay? August 25th, AD 79, 1 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. A series of pyroclastic flows reach the cities of Herculaneum and Pompeii. A lahar covers Herculaneum, burying it in 70 feet or 23 meters of mud. Holy mackerel. Pompeii is covered in 10 feet or 3 meters of volcanic ash. There are no survivors in Pompeii or Herculaneum. So, ding, ding, ding. Number 2, survivors. You're thinking, Mr. Crow, I know what a survivor is. That means, in this case, well, when I say no survivors, means there are no one living. If you're a survivor, you are living, and you have survived something. So if you are a survivor, you've lived. You've made it through. These people made it through. If they did. In this case, when we talk about no survivors, obviously that means that nobody lived. With the ash and the pyroclastic lahar flow, unfortunately, people perished. They did not live. Okay, very good. Any questions? Maybe? Oh, let's go to page 37. Please turn to page 37. All right. Vesuvius today. Here on the very top of page of 37, we've got a map of Vesuvius, Italy. We see it there in Europe. We see it kind of pointing all the way right there to the top of Italy. Vesuvius today. Could Vesuvius erupt again today? The answer is yes. Vesuvius is still an active volcano and has erupted many times since AD 79. These eruptions haven't been as dramatic as that infamous eruption. The next one, however, could be. More than 3 million people now live in Vesuvius' shadow. That means they kind of live all around the volcano. There are more people living near Vesuvius than any other volcanic region in the world. If Vesuvius erupted today at the same magnitude as the AD 79 eruption, the results would be catastrophic. Many people would perish. They would not live. Bottom of page 37. Who was Pliny? Pliny the Elder was Roman naval commander stationed in the coastal town of Misenum. He saw an unusual cloud forming above Vesuvius and decided to get a closer look. He invited his nephew, known as Pliny the Younger, to come with him. His nephew decided not to go. As he was about to leave, Pliny the Elder received a letter from his wife, from the wife of a close friend. She lived at the foot of the volcano and needed help. Pliny the Elder went to help her, but never arrived. His body was found 2 days later. Pliny the Younger wrote a series of letters that described the events that had occurred. Today, in honor of both Pliny the Elder and Pliny the Younger, the word Plinian, is used to describe a type of volcanic eruption. And here we see a picture of Pliny the Elder. Very interesting. Page 38. Please turn. Page 38. Krakatoa, Indonesia, August 26th through 27th, 1883. Ultraflinian eruption VEI 6. Top of page 36. 37. Where are you, Mr. Crow? Go check the page 38. Holy cow. Boys and girls, I am so sorry. We are on page 38. Indonesia is a country in the South Pacific. It is made up of more than 17,000 islands. It is a part of the Ring of Fire. There are more volcanoes in Indonesia than in any other country on Earth. Krakatoa is an uninhabited island group in Indonesia. Krakatoa once contained 3 active volcanoes. Man, Mr. Crowley is having a rough time getting these words out. Perbotuan, Danyan, and Rakata. Those are the 3. There is no longer the case. Here's why. That is no longer the case. Here's why. May 1883. A German warship captain reports a huge cloud of ash and steam rising above the volcano Krakatoa, which is also known as Krakatoa. This is the first time the volcano erupts in more than 200 years. Boys and girls, these are really tough words. I know that you struggle with them. Mr. Crowell struggles with them. Matters not. Adults, kids, adults. These are tough words to pronunciate. So I am doing the best I can, and that's all we can ask for. June to July 1883, crews on numerous vessels report seeing eruptions. Villagers on Sumatra and Java watch the explosions from their coastlines. Pumice is found floating in the Sunda Strait. August 26, 1883, 12:53 p.m. Krakatoa explodes, propelling a black cloud of volcanic debris 15 miles, 25 kilometers into the atmosphere. And here we see the bottom of page 38. We see here in Indonesia, there's lots of islands down there, and we see where Krakatoa is with the red box in pointing. Lots of tough words. Let's go to page 39. Page 39. Please turn it with me. Here we go. Page 39. August 27, 1883, 5:30 a.m. Top of page 39. The first of 4 enormous eruptions occurs. The final eruption is so violent that it can be heard a quarter of the way around the world. The island is blown apart. 2/3 of the island collapses into the sea. Wow. The collapse creates a wall of water 130 feet, 40 meters tall. Tsunami waves flood many of the islands closest to Krakatoa. More than 36,000 people lose their lives. That's terrible. Wow, that is just crazy. Violent eruption. Krakatoa's eruption in 1883 was among the most violent volcanic events in human history. The explosion that destroyed the island was equal to the power of 21,000 atomic bombs. That is a big explosion. That's a lot of bombs, too. And here we see a picture off to the side with a text box. People often talk about Krakatoa. The eruption blast was so loud it was heard thousands of kilometers away in central Australia and is said to be the loudest noise ever heard by humans. As a professor from Melbourne's University. Today, we see over here Krakatoa is continuing to erupt regularly. So these volcanoes, a lot of cases, keep going. They just keep coming up. Bottom of page 39, a new island. On December of 29th, 1927, a new island emerges where Perpetuan and Denon volcanoes used to exist. This little volcanic island is named Anak Krakatoa, which means child of Krakatoa. Wow, lots of tough words. Page 39, we are done. Let's go to page 40. Almost done. Page 40. There. Top of page 40. Mount Pelée, Saint Pierre, Montanique, May 8, 1902, Palladian eruption VEI4. Man, these are tough words. The city of Saint Pierre was located on the Caribbean island of Martinique. In the early 1900s, it was a vibrant French city. Many called it the Paris of the West Indies. Nearly 30,000 people lived in the area. Mount Pelée towered in the distance. The inhabitants of the island, people who live there, island knew Mount Pelée was a volcano. They weren't worried because it had not even made even a small noise since August of 1856. The velvety green Mount Pelée was slumbering. No one ever dreamed it would awaken, be awakened again. There we go. Middle of the page. Mount Pelée's terrible awakening. January of 1902. People noticed a sudden increase in thermal activity on Mount Pelée. April of 1902. A great column of steam and ash billows near the volcano summit. Volcano begins to rumble and shudder. A cloud of sulfurous gas, having a hard time with the throat, hangs over the town of Saint Pierre, and ash falls from the sky. Insects and snakes are driven from their home on Mount Pelée. They find refuge. Just stop there. They find refuge. That is, when we talk about snakes, we talk about people, we talk about anything that's human. When they find refuge, they find shelter. So when you find refuge from the rain, you find shelter from the rain. If you find refuge from the sun, you find shelter from the sun. You get covered up, you find kind of a new place. So that is refuge. Insects and snakes were driven from their home on Mount Pelée. They find refuge in Saint Pierre. About 50 people die from snake bites. All the snakes went near them, and because they got displaced, and all of a sudden they're biting people. Not good. The lake in the volcanic crater heats to boiling. There's a picture, an old picture of 1902 of Mount Pelée, which erupts in 1902. So that is our page 40. Let's go to page 41, our last one of lesson 7. There is a map picture, and there's the island of Martinique. Martinique is over there. It is kind of in our neck of the wood, and it is kind of down there below the United States and above South America. And so it gives you a sense of where the island of Martinique is, the volcano of Mount Pelée. The crater's rim, May 5th, 1902, the crater's rim collapses and the lake's boiling water rushes out. It mixes with ash, rocks, and boulders to form a lahar. The mud flow rushes down the side of the mountain, burying everything in its path. When it plunges into the ocean, it causes a tsunami. The low-lying area of Saint Pierre are flooded. People fear that their safety and make plans to flee the city. The government, however, reports that everything is safe. People are convinced to stay. Many people in the surrounding countryside flock to Saint Pierre because they think it's the safest place to be. And here we go. Last part of the page 41, May 8th, 1902, 7:50 a.m. That's in the morning. Mount Pelée explodes. A black cloud of scorching hot gas, ash, and cinders rockets down the volcano's cliffs at 100 miles, 161 kilometers per hour. In less than 1 minute, the debris strikes St. Pierre with hurricane force winds. The city is destroyed. The blast also destroys more than 20 ships anchored in offshore. Only 2 of the 30,000 people dwelling in the city survived. That means that only 2 survived who lived in the city of St. Pierre. That is crazy, boys and girls. So that brings us to the close of Lesson 7. Let's look at the board. Let's see what we have to do. Of course, for Lesson 7, you will need your Reader Writer Journal. And we will start with our assignments, which is on page 276. 276 will take us to 276. Here, for those of you who want to do the write this using the vocabulary into a sentence, you can write those if you wish to do that. The assignment is write a response to reading directions. The author includes maps, photographs, captions, headings, and a quotation as text features in this section. This whole book is full of text features. How do these text features help add additional descriptive details to the text? Use details from the text to support your answer. You got this one. You guys can do it. And if you can fit it in there, write down below. If you need more room, get on a lined piece of paper. Next one, page 277, language analysis. Here, on the next page, you will have the directions. Use evidence from the text. Answer the following questions about page 36 through 31 of Anatomy of Volcanic Eruption. So you will need to probably go back in your books. Your books will look something like this, boys and girls, and you will have the chance to use that information to answer these questions. All 5 of them on to page 277. Last one, 278. Next page, 278. This is the writing, the very top. Directions, reread page 36 to 41 of Anatomy of a Volcanic Eruption. Work with your partner to write research questions for an interview with a volcanologist that begin with who, what, where, when, why, and how. Avoid writing questions that can be answered with yes or no. Then do additional research about the topic on the internet or at the school library. Boys and girls, you can use the internet. Those of you who've got the iPads can use your iPads, look up additional information to finish the writing here on the top of 278. Boys and girls, I want to thank you very much for listening. That is Lesson 7, and I want you to have a good and safe, happy day. Do your best, try your hardest, and that's awesome. We'll see you next time. This is Mr. Krause saying goodbye, and we'll see you next time on the screen. See ya. Bye-bye.